right, hello there, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of The Bottom Line. I'm your host, Ryan McCombs, and today in studio we have a very special guest, Kalinda Janell. She is running for assembly in, remind me, the district number?
I am running for the 135th district.
All right, very good. The 135th district out here in Fairport,
Yep.
Parenton as well, I'm assuming.
Yep. Pittsford, Penfield, and East Rochester.
All right, very good. Well, Kalinda, thanks for coming on the show. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Of
Thank
course. Now, there are a few topics that we're going to be discussing today. The first thing on our agenda is education. I know you have been an educator for, you said, over and upwards of 20 years.
A little bit over
I
20
believe,
years.
and that's both, you said fourth grade at one point, and
I've
then
taught-
all the way up to college.
I have taught K through 6 with all of those grades with an exception of first grade.
Okay.
I've also taught 6th through 9th grade. I've taught adults how to read. I've taught on colleges. I've been a director of child care centers a couple times. So I'm pretty fluid when it comes to education.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's
Very
my
good.
jam, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I love that. So I want to talk about proficiency in schools. I remember back in high school speaking at multiple school board meetings out in Greece, where I'm from. I'm also a religious educator. I volunteer with I help out the seventh grade class. I'm their teacher over at St. Lawrence Church.
Okay.
And I've noticed definitely a decline in the kids, their ability to read, their ability to pay attention, and we see it in the test scores. The proficiency in math, reading, just all the basic subjects is going down. How do we change that in New York State? What's the problem, and what can we do to fix it?
So the literacy rate in Monroe County is 54%. So 54% of adults ages 18 or over are able to only comprehend about a 6th grade level.
Wow,
That
that is frightening.
It is frightening. I don't think that people see it that way because you see people that are able to function, right?
Yes.
Go to work, pay your bills. They're able to do day-to-day things, right? But
Correct.
when you are talking about important topics, like when you need to determine who's telling you the truth or who's not telling you the truth on something that you see on social media, right?
Right.
That ability may not be present per se in terms of being able to comprehend and understand what's being, taught if they had to read it. So that's where you're going to see a lot of the problems. And then we have this problem where we know that retention is argumentative. Okay. Some people are for retention. Some people are not due to social growth and whatnot, like a child feeling behind. But
Sure.
sometimes it is necessary because it's a challenge. I have students currently, because I'm currently teaching while running this campaign. They'll come to me 2-3 grade levels behind. And so when you have a classroom with one adult, and you have a classroom that ranges anywhere between like 15 or 22 students, right?
Yeah.
And half of those students are reading, when half of those students are reading 2-3 grade levels behind, it makes it a challenging task.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
I could imagine. Now, I know a big part of your platform is also parental rights,
Yes.
which are being violated all over the place in New York State. So
Yes.
tell us what those violations look like and then what we can do to fix it. What does it mean to be a defender of parental rights?
The first thing that I think we definitely have to do is establish some sort of general bill of rights for parents, which is not available in the state of New York.
Yeah.
I
That's
only know
obvious.
that because I'm in education. So, ironically, there is a bill of rights for parents with second language learners. Okay, there is a bill of rights for parents who have children with special needs. They're necessary, but there's no general parental bill of
Okay.
rights. So, if my thought is if there was a general bill of rights, it would make it a challenge to enforce some of these policies that are being enforced. So one of the things that I've found is that education is not a legislative issue. That's the first thing that needs to change in New York State. I don't understand how everything else can be a legislative issue except for education.
Right.
The Board of Education is determined by the governor. So when you have something like that that's taking place, all leaders have a mission and a vision. And when they choose people to sit on their boards, they're going to choose people that agree and align with their vision and their mission, right?
Their ideology.
Exactly. And the fact that that is a separate entity from legislation that we vote on, right? You're going to see things like this because it leaves districts the ability to do whatever they want to do.
Yes.
The legislative would hold accountability. I think it would be easier to determine how money is being spent within the school districts and exactly where they're going, where it's going, because there's a lot of gray matter, right? They call it one thing, but you can use it for other things as long as it falls under.
We don't know
category.
what it's actually being allocated towards.
Right. So honestly, that what I would attribute it to. And this started all the way back with like No Child Left Behind. So
Yeah. And there's a lot of, I get the sense there's a lot of indoctrination in the schools. And I mean, I even see that with students I've taught in religious education who are going into, my first year teaching, I taught students going into 6th grade. And they already understood transgenderism. Why is that being taught as opposed to basic math, science, history, English? Help me understand. What do you see in the community?
that's a really difficult question to answer. And as a teacher, I'm always going to advocate for teachers.
Yes.
I'm always going to advocate for teachers. Like any field, you have good eggs and you have bad eggs. Okay? When it comes to teaching gives you the platform
Yes.
to be passionate and to voice your passion within, with a group of students or a building of educators. So I don't think that indoctrination occurs everywhere. I think that from my personal experience, it tends to occur more in suburban schools. I have not, with my own two eyes, seen any type of indoctrination in the city school district. Probably because there's other issues to worry about. Right? We don't have time to focus on that when we are preparing kids for state testing.
And that is an interesting observation because all of the kids that I've taught have been Greece, Spencerport, Hilton area. So that makes sense that in your assessment, you don't really see it in the city schools.
It's interesting because last year was my first experience with a student identifying themselves as something outside of the gender that they were born. Okay. And this is a 4th grader. And so we know that it stems from somewhere. I'm going to advocate for parents. And in doing so, parenting is not easy. And there are a lot of good parents. There are a lot of good parents out there, and they do give their kids the right tools to be successful. But then they have to fight with social acceptance within their peers and social media.
Yes.
And so
with what they don't see.
And so then it causes, we hear all these comments like, it starts at home. It starts at home. It starts at home. Yes, it does start at home, but when the system has removed parental rights, okay, that becomes a challenge for parents. And I'm not talking about extremities like abuse or, you know what I mean? But like parents can't discipline their kids a certain way. That's why soft parenting came around, right? But before you could just, if the child wanted to leave, they would too many rights. They tell you how to parent, they tell you how to discipline, they tell you what you can and what you can't do, right? But then when you have this child that you've tried your best to deal with and you're competing with those two entities that I was speaking about, then you have the community wagging their finger at you saying, it starts at home.
Yeah.
It's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, that is a very difficult corner to be backed into.
Yeah, so I feel like people need to have more compassion. Yeah, parenting does start at home, but I don't know. Social acceptance within children, especially 13 through 18 years old, is huge. It's huge.
Yes,
they want to be accepted by their peers. Even if they know it's not right, they want to do what their friends are doing. So,
and they're not being equipped to resist that peer pressure.
Right. And then if you ask for assistance,
you get snubbed.
Right. If you have a truant child, right, you call the cops, there's only so much we can do. Mm-hmm. They haven't been missing for long enough, or they haven't committed enough, there haven't been enough instances where we need to reprimand them judicially, So, I don't know. It's a way for people to point the finger when ultimately it all comes down to accountability.
Yes.
It comes down to accountability because with the bail reform, when you are seeing repeated offenders and they're committing these crimes and then they're just given an appearance ticket, and you see that over a period of time, which we have seen in New York State, that creates it's a recipe for chaos because it encourages the behavior, right? It's just like with kids. Well, if he got away with it, then I'm going to try to get away with it, right? So it to me, it encourages negative behavior.
Yeah, and it is interesting to see the way that bail reform has played out in New York State.
Yeah.
Because I am in college with the intention of going to law school.
Okay.
I'm an aspiring public defender, actually.
Okay.
So I probably have, in relation to the mainstream view of the party, a more liberal view when it comes to criminal justice, because I do believe in criminal justice reform.
Yes.
But it's interesting how they don't really seem to be interested in rehabilitating any of these individuals.
Such a good point. Yes.
They only want to endorse the behavior, and I think the purpose of reform should be get them back on the right track
to get back in the
before it gets out of hand. But they seem to be endorsing violent crime.
Correct. Yeah. Because it's about money, right? That's why they started to, develop that formula where if a child is not on grade level by third grade, there's going to be a higher probability of them going to prison. So they know where their money is going in to build, the prison industry is huge, right? Because what concept of rehabilitation, where does it go? It's very interesting the way that they do things.
Now, moving on from education, I know we also wanted to discuss healthcare, specifically mental health care. What policies would you like to see coming out of Albany? I know one issue that's very close to your heart is our veterans. To my understanding is that your grandfather is
My
a
father
veteran?
and my grandfather.
Okay, both of them.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us just a little bit about that. Your background, I guess, being from a military family, and then what policies, in light of that, would you like to see?
So I have looked over some of the policies for veterans. What I can tell you is that it just seems that whenever an election year comes, incumbents write checks to keep people happy to get voters.
Yeah.
And then things go right back to the way that they were after people are sworn into their positions. There is absolutely no reason when someone makes the choice to fight for our country, okay, and they make that sacrifice with themselves and with their family, that when they return back home, they're treated any differently than they were when they left. They should be treated with more honor. The But then that goes back to what we were just talking about, because there is an absence of patriotism. Our children are losing the concept, the ideology of what a veteran is. It used to
Yeah.
look so much different than it does today. They don't truly understand the value of fighting for our country and what people have to go through when they return. And it's a horrible thing that we're so quick to let people go, but we're not there for them when they come back. And that needs
Yeah.
to change.
I agree. I agree. And another issue in the realm of healthcare would be domestic violence. What could you say about that? How can the state better help victims?
So I am a survivor of domestic violence. I'm very transparent. I have no shame of where I've been, because it's created and molded me to who I am today. There need to be stricter rules. There need to be greater resources for people who are that have to endure domestic violence. I think that it needs to be reevaluated into what domestic violence is and what that looks like, because it's changed over the years. It affects both men and women.
Yes.
It's not just women who are being abused. Men are abused. It's not just heterosexual relationships. It's out there. And so we need to provide more resources. I think that Willow is the only facility right now. They can only do so much. But we also have to change, like I said, what we consider.
Excuse me.
No, you're fine.
Sprite was getting to me.
No, you're fine. It's good. But we have to consider that, right? Because it in my particular experience, like, mental abuse is domestic abuse. Okay.
Well, it's manipulation.
Exactly.
That's the first step.
Exactly. And so I have had a point in my life where, I had to have a safety plan. And whenever there was an escalation, the police would come and say, this is not a criminal. There's nothing that we can do. Right.
Which I would imagine makes the abuse worse, because
Sometimes, but then it goes back to, it encourages the behavior, right?
Yes.
Because if I'm going to abuse you, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever the case may be, and then the cops show up, they don't do anything about it. They just listen to my story and go on and say, oh, they'll, I don't know what you want me to do. Something has to change with that. Like, literally, I would have had to been punched in the face for them to have gotten involved. But it's not only that, it's also like the judges, right? So this is one of the reasons why I'm in favor of Senator Helming's Protect Act. Because what it does is it allows judges to make educated decisions on repeated offenders. They can look case per case before they make a decision as to if this individual is fit to go back into the community. So policies are great. They just can't be one way or the other. There has to be a conversation where things can help. And the Protect Act definitely is one that I am in favor of. I think it would help a lot of judges do their job more sufficiently.
Well, moving on then from healthcare, there's one last topic I want to talk about, and
Okay.
it's this green energy agenda. I call it the Green New Scam.
Yeah.
And it's playing out right here in Monroe County,
Big time.
specifically in this area with, I believe, solar farms. What is the response from the community, and do you think this is to the benefit or to the detriment of this community?
Everything, anything in an excessive manner is not good for you. Okay. Solar energy does have its benefits, but when you are talking about taking equipment and placing it on fruitful soil, knowing that once that solar panel is placed into that ground, it destroys it destroys the crops.
Yes.
So, and so for those of you who don't know, when I say fruitful soil, that means that the soil can produce fruits, vegetables. But when a solar panel gets planted there, that soil can only produce hard crops, corn, wheat.
Okay.
And we have really good soil in New York State. So it would damage all of that soil, which would affect everyone because that affects our produce, that affects our crops. Not only that, we don't have a lot of sun throughout the year. It's not like we're in Florida, okay? There's always a lot of overcast, and when the snow comes, right? The snow is going to cover them. They are only, the life expectancy of a solar panel, I believe, is like 5 years. Well, what are we going to do with that equipment afterwards?
Bury it and destroy the soil. That's what it sounds like their plan is.
But that's still equipment. Is that equipment recyclable? Are we going to have an area where we just have solar farm, what am I thinking of? Just plants of collection of recycled solar panels. Can they be recycled?
And I don't think the Democrats in New York State have an answer to that.
No. Well, they have a short plan, a short-term plan.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is that we're not looking at the bigger picture. We're looking at what it does for us in a short amount of period of time, like the next couple of years. Not only that, our energy grid is not big enough for all of this electric concept ideas that, my opponent and her party, that they are all in favor of. It's time that we have people in office that make sense, use common sense.
Yes, I agree. Well, I think that's everything we wanted to cover today.
Okay.
I'm very happy that you came on the show.
Thank you.
You're a great candidate, a great person.
Thank
you had
you.
a lot of informative things to say, and
Thank
so
you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for
course.
having me.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and don't forget to tune in to next week's episode.
Bye.